What up, New York Giant Nation and football fans all over the world? It is your boy Mac the Giants fan here with my guy, the super dope co-host Adam Costas. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for the real deal NFC East Round-Up. Punch that intro. What up, everybody? How's it going on this afternoon, man? It's schedule release day. So me and my guy Adam, we here to talk about it, man. I hope everybody's having a great day, man. We're gonna start looking at some of the things we know. We don't know everything yet, but we know a few things here. We got the full Eagles schedule leak. We got the full New York Giants schedule leak, and we know who the opponents of the Cowboys and the Commanders are as well. So we can start talking and breaking down some of their games too. And how you doing today, Adam?
I am feeling good. We can really get started on talking about opponents and getting really the football season not really underway, but kind of get an idea of where we're going. Everyone's even right now, 0-0. But I'm sure after this exercise that we do today, people's opinions will change, and I'm sure we will revisit this episode later on at the end of the year next year and see if we have anything right and see if we have anything wrong. So hope you guys enjoy. I'm ready.
Yeah, New York Giant Nation, man. I love y'all all, man. But I might leave y'all with a little sour taste in y'all mouth today. I'm no
Oh
more than
boy.
optimism. Like last year, I was very optimistic about last season. I'm not setting myself up for that kind of a failure. I'm not giving you the fluff. If you want to hear the fluff, you came to the wrong channel, man. Like for real, you came to the wrong channel if you want to hear the fluff. You want to you're gonna get the real deal. You're gonna get what we know as it is in the standing, how things stand in the month of May 2024, going into this, getting ready for this upcoming season. You're not gonna get no, oh, Giants is gonna win 12 games, because there's no way in the world anybody with a real football IQ can look at this right now and think on paper, as we know things, as things stand, at this football team is going to be like a 12-win team. Now, sure, would I love to be wrong and that happen and be the case? Sure, I would love for that to be the case. But guess what? As what things stand right now in the month of May, whether you like it or don't like it, I hate to say it, but myself personally, I feel like the New York Giants are the fourth best team in the NFC East
Ooh.
on paper, as things stand in the NFC East right now. So that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get that. What's going
Wow.
on, normal guy? And appreciate you. What's going on, Alex? Thanks for
Yes,
stopping in, man.
I agree, Alex. 3-8 is brutal.
I mean, it's just this
Take
schedule.
me
Like
with you to Cleveland.
Adam was talking behind before we came on, man. Honestly, like you just said, weeks 3 to 8, absolutely brutal. But the reality
Murder's
is,
row.
this team could start the season off. Like I said, 0-8. Legitimately, it could happen. It could go down kind of like that. That would be ugly. It would be terrible. But it's the reality based off of what we're looking at here. Like, and Adam, you made a good point before we came on. Like you said, weeks 1 and 2 are absolutely critical. Weeks 1 and 2 are critical to how this season may or may not go, man. Because after that, like you said, we get to Cleveland week 3 and so forth, man. It's just going to be some tough sledding, man. And honestly, Minnesota and Washington weeks 1 and 2, they're nothing to
No
really
gimmies.
sneeze
No
at either,
gimmies either.
man.
I mean, just so we can get into that, I don't mean to cut you off, but they're thinking the same thing we're thinking. If we think that we can beat the Vikings, who are a little bit better than us in the standings, they're thinking the same thing. Why can't we go 1-0 against a team that is 6-11 that was in disarray most of the season? Why can't we go? So don't think any of these teams are taking us lightly. So I know that the Giants may be favoring some of these games, and we're going to talk about it as we go. Don't let that blur your vision.
What's going on, Miz, man? Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. I mean, I love your optimism, Miz, but I look, you know how I love this team. I love this team dearly, man. But last year, man, I came in this came into the season so much optimism about the New York Giants, and all they did was come out there and let me down week after week after week. And right now, just based off of even we made some positive moves this offseason. I can agree with that, man. But at the end of the day, I just think that this football team right now has taken a step back in the standings in the NFC East division at least on paper. Now for the now fortunately the game's not played on paper. The game is very much played on the field. Injuries happen, things can happen. Who knows what can happen from between now and September and beyond? I mean, a lot of different things can change how things go. I mean, things never really quite go as expected, but right now, I mean, if you got to keep it real, if you're ranking these teams on paper, man, I just don't believe you're being true to yourself if you
Well,
believe the Giants aren't the fourth best team right now on paper, at least. At
I look,
least on paper.
my stance of the Giants. I look at it like this: the NFC Championship game is not my realistic expectation. It's my expectation of just like this is where we're supposed to be. This is what we need to be. My realistic expectation is this team's not winning more than 7 games. Okay, they have a murderer's row of teams. They have a lot of good defenses they play, and let's be honest, our offense is is not going from it's not going to be a juggernaut coming out the gate. It's not. Like it still have some young receivers. It's still going to have to develop. The quarterback's a liability, no matter which one you put in. I'm optimistic about Drew Lock. I'm interested in Nathaniel Rourke. I could care less about Tommy DeVito, and Daniel Jones can hit the bricks. But my point is, and we won't be favored in a lot of games because of the quarterback play when it comes down to it. Who will elevate their team against these good defenses? And I know that coming out the gate is going to be the Giants. I guess we'll just talk about their schedule since we're already on them. There's no point tiptoeing around it. They play Minnesota, right? That's a 50-50 game for me, meaning they were 7-10. They weren't great, but they weren't bad last year. They're developing with Brian Flores. They got him some players. They just got a quarterback. Their offense still scored some points when they actually had a competent quarterback in there. So they still have 2 decent receivers that we have. So I don't expect a lot of 17-13 games because this is a bend but don't break defense, and at some point they're going to break because if you look at the Tennessee Titans last year, they were basically like us, and their record was not great either. And they had that defensive coordinator who was in there, and their defensive ranks weren't great last year either. I don't expect the Giants to go from 32nd in the league to all of a sudden top 10 in defense overnight. I really don't. What I expect of them is what Bowen has done very well last year was they were great in the red zone, meaning they were number one in stopping people in the red zone from scoring touchdowns, 37% or something like that. So they score a lot of field goals, which eventually lead to touchdown when the defense is on the field a lot. So my point is that the Giants, we say there's going to be 17-13 games. I'm not worried about 17-13 games. We play the Ravens. Well, we play Minnesota, okay? How do we know that we can stop Minnesota? Who's our second corner that's going to stop Minnesota's Jordan Addison? People are talking about J.J. McCarthy, and be a rookie. The rookie doesn't have to do much to beat the Giants. They can do exactly what Daniel Jones is. Daniel Jones' 5th season is the blueprint of what you can do for a rookie. If you have good coaching and a solid defense, and you shorten the game up for him, you can get 3,200 yards and 15 touchdowns out of J.J. McCarthy and be efficient enough to win football games. Okay? I don't know what's happening in Washington. People are poo-pooing on Washington. Their whole scheme is changing. Okay? So do I think the Giants will win? The first 2 games for me, the Giants if the Giants are 0-2 after these first 2 good games, good night the lights. Good night the lights. I'm telling you that right now. Giants need to be 1-1 at worst going into that 8-week stretch. Listen.
If the Giants are 0-2 after the first 2 games, it's a real possibility that the Giants will be winless heading across the pond over to Germany for that game against Carolina. That's a reality. That if they go 0-2 in the first 2 games, there's a strong reality that they will be winless going over to Germany for that game against Carolina Panthers.
I want to make a point here. Okay,
But
Minnesota's got an offense, but who's starting QB? Rookie first game on the road versus our defense. Do we even know if our defense is good? Last year, our defense ranked 32nd in the league. Okay, they kept us in games because they had turnovers. Now, do I think this defense is going to be box office? No, but they will have a pass rush. Yes. Do I think that they can be had? I do. But we also got to think about this. You're laughing at a rookie. Our quarterback plays like a rookie and won't have any preseason reps. So you're talking about a guy who's not going to have any reps versus a guy who's going to have reps with his team dropped right in there with not playing with Malik Neighbors really for most of practice, because I'm assuming he's not going to play in the preseason. I'm sure he'll take first team reps and all that shit, but he won't have any game experience with these guys. He hasn't played a game in a year, and I'm supposed to expect him to come out and be gangbusters? I'm just saying, like, let's not overrate the Giants going into this season. I'm not saying Minnesota's a powerhouse.
Not to mention, it's a good point there. Like you said, okay, week 1, Minnesota. Okay, we keep talking about J.J. McCarthy. There's a strong chance that we'll be seeing Sam Darnold, who we know he's not the special,
Right.
Nothing great, but he is still a veteran quarterback that's been around the block a little bit. And this Minnesota
He might
team,
be the starter.
I mean, he played for San Fran last year, but he didn't really play. He was just on the team. You know what I mean?
But
So
he's with another offensive coordinator.
With an opportunity to actually play and get on the field, this is probably at least the best offense he's definitely been a part of. I mean, considering all things considered throughout his whole career. So who knows what you might get from Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy week 1, whichever one it's going to be.
Let me ask you this. Do they have to be throw up crazy numbers? I mean, you think about their offense, right? They have Jettis, they have T.J. Hawkinson, and they have Addison on the other side, right? You put in Sam Darnold there, right? Everyone talks about our weapons and what our quarterback is going to do with the weapons he got. What does Sam Darnold have to do? Turn and throw the ball to his playmakers, and against our second corner that we have no real. We're missing McKinney in our secondary, who's very good. There's going to be some exposure there, and the only reason I say that is this: McKinney masked a lot of the problems that we had in the back end because was smart. Don't just let the defense fool you from last year. It may take some time to gel. It's not the same defense that they're running. They're not running Wink Martindale's defense. They're running Shane Bowen's defense, which means they might go from a 3-4 to now a 4-3. So you change the whole game up now. Plus, they were the worst run defense in the league, one of the worst run defenses in the league last year, and we lost Leonard Williams. Okay, so teams, if I'm looking at to defend the Giants, I'm looking to run the football, which Minnesota can do. Okay, and I'm looking for short passing games with my receivers because I want to beat the Giants, and then use my play action game to go over the top because guess what? You're going to have inexperienced safeties back there. I like Jason Pinnock, but Dane Belton hasn't played that much, and again, you're learning a new defense. It's not like these guys are coming in learning. That's what I'm just giving you the factors to don't rest on your laurels. The Giants are going to come in and just beat down this either rookie QB or Sam Darnold because let's be real, we have some holes going in. We're not perfect, and there's some things that can be had that could expose us down the road. And our depth is going to be a lot of young players, right? So, yeah, you can coach them up. I've seen it before. But listen, let's be honest. You could still have a good defense and be a shitty team. And,
Look, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, that's all real to me. Those are top players at their positions in this league. I mean, and that's Giants are gonna have to contend with that on the Minnesota defense as well. I mean, we can talk about how we feel about Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy being a rookie. Justin Jefferson is absolutely one of the absolute best top 2-3 receiver in this league without question. Jordan Addison is a rising superstar. T.J. Hawkinson is a top tight end in this league. The Vikings have weapons offensively that are going to give the New York Giants trouble, man. And that game could go either way. It truly could. I'm not saying we have no chance of beating the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh no, but don't sleep on them.
You can't just make it. I agree with Adam. Right? You can't just overlook them and be like they got a rookie quarterback. They're going to have all kinds of problems. Their defense ain't that great.
Like, who are we? We're the New York Giants. We were one of the worst teams in the NFL last year. We picked number 6. The Vikings picked later than we did. They picked later than we did in their record. They picked 11, I guess, or whatever it was, and 23.
10, I think. Yeah.
Well, they moved up to 10, but they had to trade.
10,
they didn't have a first-round pick, so they had to trade back in and get 23, or they were like 11, right? So they were better than us, and they scored more points than us. And we have a defense that's having a new coordinator and all this stuff. And I'm just saying, I can't overlook any team, and nor will the Vikings. The Vikings aren't going to overlook us. But let's move on to the Washington Commanders, who I feel like the Giants should go 1-1 out of the
Let me just
two.
say
Oh,
what's up to
go
my
ahead.
guy Earl. What's going on? I want to say shout out to my guy Earl Cole, man. Hardcore Sports Network doing big things with the wrestling stuff, man. Make sure y'all go send some love to my guy Earl Cole,
What's up,
man.
Earl?
Doing big things with the wrestling content on the Hardcore Sports Network. Host of the Wrestling Experience. You can catch him on SmackDown, Raw, AEW, Dynamite watch parties. Always a pleasure working with Earl Cole, man. That's a
Hardest working
good
man of
guy, man.
wrestling.
Great guy. Earl Cole, man, giving you that wrestling content, keeping you up to date on all the wrestling news. But yeah, he said we on to Washington. Let's go, Washington.
Yes.
Jaden Daniels. This will be a rookie quarterback. The New York Giants will be facing week 2. Most likely, he will be the starter. I would think.
No doubt. No doubt.
think.
If he
there's
can't
not a
beat out
question
Marcus
about this.
Mariota, then he's got real problems.
Yeah, that would be problematic for Washington for sure. But this is a team historically, this is a team New York Giants do usually tend to get the best of. But this is a different Washington team rolling out. I mean, they kind of feel like they may have gotten their quarterback with Jaden Daniels. We don't know yet. He's a rookie. He hasn't played a snap in the NFL yet. But they feel like they've gotten their guy. And we already know about some of the weapons that they already have in place. I mean, their wide receiving core is definitely a pretty legitimate group of guys. You know, Scary Terry, Jahan Dotson. They added someone in the draft, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. They got Austin Eckler, picked up Austin Eckler at running back in the free agency. They also had Brian Robinson Jr. So this team definitely has some weapons. Their offensive line is still a work in progress as well. We all Giant fans, we know all about that. But this is a much improved team. Looks like at least on paper as well, a much improved football team in the New York Giants, and a team that they're probably tired of losing to the New York Giants. So they're also another team with an attitude.
That's with their home opener, I think.
Something to prove.
I think it'll be
Yeah,
the
it looks
home
like it
opener.
is. I'm not sure who they play week 1, but this will probably be their home.
So
opener.
it's going to be a hostile environment. Take that into consideration. I mean, just take that into consideration. Are you done, Mac? I didn't know if you were done.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you got it, bro.
Well, what I'm saying is take that into consideration, people, because when you go into a new environment, I don't care if it's a rookie quarterback, these people are going to be jacked up like they've never been jacked up in probably the last 5 or 6 years, right? Since RG3 came to town, maybe even longer. So maybe even 12 years, 13 years, right? They got a guy who they think is going to change the course of their franchise. They actually have a competent head coach now. They have a competent offensive coordinator. You know, they have players galore. Like, if you want to look at their roster, okay, if you look at this roster, you know, Mac named a few. They have Jamison Crowder they just brought back. They have, you know, Luke McCaffrey they drafted, Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, Dax Millen, Terry McLaurin, Diami Brown. They have a couple guys in there who can play. Not to mention they got Austin Eckler, okay, a back out of the backfield. You don't realize how good a back can be out of the backfield, right? So you have Brian Robinson and get Austin Eckler, who's probably a little bit better version of the guy they had last year. I forget what his name was. It wasn't Gibson. It was Gibson. Yeah, Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, Antonio Gibson. Yeah.
Right? Austin Eckler is kind of like him. He's a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can also rush for you. So they've got some weapons on the offense to help. Not to mention Jaden Daniels has the ability to change the game with his legs. Everyone wants to talk about, you know, rookie quarterbacks. Let me go down memory lane with you guys. For a guy who plays in the same state as the Washington Commanders, but was far less ballyhooed and picked 32nd overall. I think you know where I'm going with this. Lamar Jackson. Okay. Lamar Jackson's rookie year. And let's just bring it up for you guys so you guys know what it's like. His rookie year, 2018.
Going on, Philly Big.
He started 7 games. Now, I think he'll start more games. Jaden Daniels, because he had Joe Flacco in front of him, you know what I mean? Which is not much of a camp battle, but he's the entrenched starter, so they're going to let him play at least. And then he came in and he had 1,000 yards, had 6 TDs, and it was electrifying. right? And he rushed for 5 TDs. I think you're going to get a guy like this who's very dynamic, who can play very well. I'm not saying look at CJ Stroud. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying these guys, I'm going to put it in perspective like this. And Giant fans are going to hate me. But Daniel Jones' numbers are what I expect a rookie to get. Like, that is not hard numbers to be effective like that. Like, if he comes in and does 3,200 yards and 15 touchdown passes, you should be happy. And then he rushes for 10 rushing touchdowns. You should be happy as a fan of the quarterback, right? So it's not like we're not going to need this. Washington's going to need this guy to throw for 400 yards at the gate. They just need to be dynamic and make plays, right, when they're there to be made. Now, will he have some growing pains? Obviously, I think the Giants should be able to kind of confuse him a little bit. But with that being said, it's up to Cliff Kingsbury to put this guy in a position where he can make those plays. And you're going to see it. Plus, we always think how good this team is. We haven't even flipped to the defensive side. Okay, the defensive side of Washington is what I really want to talk about, because they have Bobby Wagner, they got Jamon Davis, and people are like, oh, well, why does that matter? Well, Bobby Wagner is going to come in and already understand the defense right out the gate, which means he can help everybody around him. Think Antonio Pierce, right? The only difference with Antonio Pierce was he never played in a defense with Spagnuolo, but he at least came in and understood defense right off the bat, and he could line everybody up. And he knew it inside and out. And you don't know how well that helps your defense when you have a middle linebacker like Bobby Okereke. You think about the Giants' defense, they have Bobby Okereke in the middle, right? Kind of manning that middle, helping out the defense. This is the same thing with Bobby Wagner. I think that's going to allow them to do a lot of things. Their secondary got a little better. So this is not going to be your average team. Now, do I think the Giants can win this game? Absolutely. Do I think the Commanders are going to give them 6 turnovers like they did last time? Absolutely not. I don't think they're going to be that careless. Last year, they had Sam Howell throwing the ball 40 times a game. And I know people are shitting on Sam Howell. I think he might have a bounce back in Seattle. You got to think that kid threw for 3,800 yards and 21 touchdowns. But he was throwing like 40 times a game. I know he threw 21 interceptions, but he was throwing 40 times a game. Cliff Kingsbury, I think, will rely a little bit on the running game and out of the backfield type stuff. Sorry, I was long-winded on that one, but I'm done with Washington for now.
Yeah, I mean, you hit everything. I mean, like I said, this Washington team is a team that's going to come in. I know they feel like they're much improved. I think a lot of people agree that they're much improved, and they're going to come in on week 2 and with something to prove against the New York Giants, a team that like I said, has historically had their way with the Washington Commanders / Washington Redskins, whatever you want to call them. You know what I mean?
Redskins.
It's been that team. The NFC East is a weird division when it comes to that. I mean, the rivalries in the division are real, and this is the one that the Giants definitely have the one up on, and out of the teams in the division is the Washington.
But a home opener,
we can't all say that. But go ahead.
I'm just saying it's going to be a different environment. Just let's put it this way: if the Giants are walking in there 0-1, it's going to be an environment where you better get up quick, because this team, this fan base is through the roof. They wanted Caleb Williams, but they'll take Jaden Daniels. And, you trotting out there with Daniel Jones and company and throwing 6-yard passes and hoping Malik Neighbors can do what you got to do. I'm just saying, man, we got to watch out.
Yeah, what's going on? Stopping in the chat, Deala, man. Appreciate you stopping in, bro.
So after first 2 games, what do you have the Giants record? I have them at 1-1. I think they win 1, lose 1. It doesn't really matter to me which one. It could be win to Vikings, lose to Washington, lose to Minnesota, win to Washington. That's just how I have them after 2. What about you?
Honestly, sorry. I got to stop in both of them. 0-2.
Okay.
0-2.
Okay, 0-2. So let's move on to Cleveland. I think is next, right?
Going to Cleveland week 3. That defense going to Cleveland. At Cleveland.
Ooh.
Yep.
Ooh.
At Cleveland week 3. We know what Cleveland's defense is, go. It's a defense that is going to probably be way too much for the New York Giants offense to handle, considering the New York Giants still don't really know what they are offensively. Like I said, a lot of things can happen between now and September. But do you? I mean,
Yeah,
how
but
many people really think the New York Giants have much of a shot going into the dog pound week 3? I mean, I can't
oh my
honestly say
God,
that realistically that the New
my
York Giants
gosh, you
have
got to
much
think
of a
about
shot.
this. I don't know. Is that Cleveland's home opener? I don't know if that's Cleveland's home opener. I think they play the Dallas Cowboys, but let me look up Cleveland real quick. I mean, they probably don't
I
have
think
it, but
Dallas. I think week 1 against Dallas is their home opener. I think they play Dallas at home.
okay. But either way, so let's hang on something you said. You just said the dog pound, right? So we go from RFK or whatever RFK is, FedEx Field, which is going to be raucous because it's a home opener. It's Jaden Daniels, the debut of Jaden Daniels, blah blah blah, right? To now going on the road to a team that has a Super Bowl caliber defense and is going to want to make a statement against this giant team. Whether they win against the Cowboys or not, they're going to want to make a statement in their building. Okay. They're going to want to. They were pretty good in their building last year. They're going to want to dominate this team. I'm just saying, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you're not thinking about the New York Giants. You're thinking about the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Those 4 or 5 teams, and maybe the Bills in Miami and those teams, because you don't let the Giants be your roadblock. You don't let the Giants be what could hold you back from either getting to the playoffs or not winning the division. Because guess what? If you're head-to-head with the Cleveland Browns against the Ravens and you go head-to-head opponents because you're tied with the division record and they beat the Giants and you lost to the Giants, you don't want that to happen. So for me, Daniel Jones, if he's the starter, again, I think he's going to – this is my thing. If Daniel Jones doesn't play any of the preseason, I think it's going to take him a few weeks to knock the rust off, and that could be the downfall of the Giants coming out the gate is – we hear a lot. There's 4 quarterbacks on the roster. They're obviously going to pull Daniel back a little bit right now with Nathaniel Rourke, Tommy DeVito, and Drew Lock. If he were super healthy, they wouldn't have put in a waiver claim for Nathan Rourke. They're probably going to, ease Daniel Jones in. So that means he probably won't have football shape really until week 3. And now you're playing one of the best defenses. This could look like the 49er game of last year. That's how good this defense is. The Giants are not on the level of Cleveland defensively. They're not there yet. And I expect them to be there, because we're in year 3. But the roster indicates to me that we're not on that level yet. And Cleveland's going to bludgeon us. They're not going to do anything crazy. They're just going to pound the rock, and then they're going to – Myles Garrett's legit. I mean, I know we got Brian Burns and we got all these things. They're going to be disruptive against our offensive line. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get turnovers. And, let's say Daniel plays 2 kind of clean games against these mid defenses for Minnesota and Washington. This is the game where you're going to probably see the exposure. They're going to come with it. And if there's a game where you think the over-under is him not making it out of a game alive, that might be the game. So are we saying we're starting off 0-3 right now? I think we have a shot against the Browns. Weak QB play from both teams. Yeah, but our QB play is weak as well. That's what people forget. They have weak QBs, but our QB is not an advantage. So if we're looking at them game to game, 50-50 games come down to special teams, defense, and they're about even with all 3 of those teams. And the defense of the Browns is championship.
Well, look, Adam's a little more optimistic with the first couple of games than I am a little bit. So he says to split the first 2 games. And I'm pretty much saying if we may lose for so. I'm kind of saying 0-3 because I don't think we have really a real shot against Cleveland. Honestly, I mean obviously you have a shot against anybody, but I don't think we have a real shot against going into Cleveland week 3 in that game with that defense. But also let's look at the other side. You say weak quarterback play. Deshaun Watson, yes, I get what happened last year. It was pretty much a disaster. This guy still has something to prove, man. He has something to prove, and he's gonna come out there with a chip on his shoulder. Wants to prove that he can still play at a top level in this league. Can he? He does have to go out there and prove that on the field. But if he comes out there and we get Deshaun Watson, of old from his Houston Texans days, then
So
what are we
they have
talking about here?
They have Jameis Winston as their backup quarterback. So it's not like they're bringing in an incompetent player in Jameis Winston. All right, the guy can still sling the rock, all right, around. He's a little better than Jacoby Brissett. He's not great, but he's a competent backup. So who's our backup? Drew Lock? What are we talking about here? If you were to put Watson versus Jones, I'll take my chances with Watson because, I'm just saying. He may not ever get back, you're right, but they have Jameson Winston there for a reason. He's played decent. And you got to understand, when teams have superior defenses, the game is very simple. Don't fuck it up. That's it. Don't fuck it up.
I mean, look, I'm hoping
So
for
you believe?
everything.
So is he believing
Hoping
Daniel Jones?
for it all to go bad. I'm hoping for it all to go bad for these opponents, and things can make things a little easier for the New York Giants. But right now,
So is our QB.
all I can do is base things off of what I know. Is base things off of what I know right now, how things stand in the month of May, and I just don't see it as New York Giant team stacking up to the Cleveland Browns in any way, shape, or form. I mean, they're still a team
So
they're gonna come heavy with the run game no matter who the hell they got running the ball back there. That's what that team does. They play good old school football, man, and actually they play the kind of football that I love, the kind of football the New York Giants used to play back in the day that made me love this football team.
they have a great O-line.
So I mean, this football, I just don't see. I don't really see much of a chance here against the Cleveland Browns. I
Listen,
really, really don't. This starts an absolute murderous row of games, as we were discussing earlier, too. By the way,
well, what's next?
at
What
here
week
week
now are we
3,
now?
because
Week four?
week 4. Guess what? After we follow up the Cleveland Browns by having a short week, having to play Thursday night football at home versus the Dallas Cowboys, a team, as we know, who
Oh,
absolutely is a thorn in the
Dak
New York
Prescott
Giants side
owns
as
us.
well. A team that, yes, like you just said it best, Dak Prescott absolutely owns the New York Giants. His only 2 losses to the New York Giants were his rookie season back in 2016. So let's put that
Oh,
into perspective.
oh.
Let's put that into perspective, folks. Week 4, Dallas Cowboys, short week on Thursday night
So
football.
just to fill the folks in, Mac has the Giants at 0-3. I have them at 1-2, and going into week 4. So Mac, are you picking the Giants against the Cowboys?
On a short week, no. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And prime time on a short week, no.
After
Based
a
off of
tough
what,
game against Cleveland,
come on. I don't know who the hell Dallas going to be playing week 3 or what they're going to be dealing with and coming off of. But at this end of the day, I can't, with a straight face and a clear conscience, think we're going to, on a short week, going to go take care of the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday night football. Like I said, I
I
hope I'm
think
wrong.
I agree with I agree with Mac here. I think the Giants are 1-3, headed into week 5. They're 1-3. Mac has them at 0-4. Um, I just think the Giants have trouble, especially with our quarterback, against top 10 defenses. And we're playing the top 10 defense in the Cowboys after the Browns game, which could be an emotional game, a physical game where they're going to try to break your helmet. And then you come back and have to play a short week. Never know who gets banged up in that game. But we'll see. On to week 5.
Well, week 5, here we go. Out to the Pacific Northwest to take on them Seattle Seahawks, a
Ugh,
team that absolutely humiliated this
owns
New York
us.
Giant team on Monday Night Football last season. I mean, absolutely embarrassing loss on Monday Night Football season to go to the Seattle Seahawks team. Going out to Seattle and this is a strange thing. I don't really know what to expect from this team. Last year, the wheels kind of fell off on this football team a year ago. Geno Smith kind of started to slowly kind of come down to earth a little bit, looking kind of more like the Geno Smith we actually know, as opposed to the Geno Smith from the season before prior, where he had a career year and earned this big, huge contract. But this Seattle team is still, they're still going to be a solid football team, fundamentally sound. They've added Sam Howell as the backup quarterback. We don't know how that's going to play out,
I
but
think it'll work out for them.
they're definitely going to be a football team that's going to probably run the football pretty well, and they have some legit weapons on the outside still. I mean, those receivers didn't go anywhere. DK Metcalf is still very much there. Tyler Lockett, the kid they got last year, JSM or whatever his name is, that guy, yeah, he didn't come.
Kobe
This
Smith
come
and
off a
Jigma.
slightly disappointing rookie
Jackson Smith
season
and
a little
Jigma.
bit, but yeah,
Well, he had a
him,
good
yeah,
day. He,
coming
he,
off a
he
disappointing
developed.
rookie season, he was developing as the season went on. He absolutely was, and their defense is still pretty solid. Here's where it's weird with me though. This is the kind of game I feel like the New York Giants the New York Giants will mess around, and these are the kind of games they'll go out there and somehow go pick apart the Seattle Seahawks for some reason. I don't know. The Giants just do weird shit like that. So this is where I think the New York Giants, for me personally, do get their first win. Is go out to Seattle and somehow pull off a win out there in a game in which I think Seattle, I wouldn't say they're necessarily are miles ahead of the New York Giants, but I'd say right now they are a little bit better. They are better. I think most people. I think New
Well,
York
they
Giants will
beat
definitely be
us last
underdogs, and
year. Well, the last 2 years
they'll
they beat
definitely be
us.
underdogs in this game. Yeah, they'll be underdogs in this game for sure. But I think that I think this is somehow the kind of game the New York Giants go out and figure out a way to somehow win the football game because they just do things like this every year and they get everybody all hyped up. Oh yeah, went out there to Seattle, one of the hardest places to play. We beat them. Yeah, and then that's just the Giants do stuff like that. They do it. They do it. They do it for a couple games like that every year. So
Well,
I,
I don't know what to say. That's I wish I could be as optimistic about it as you, but the Giants have lost them 2 years in a row and have no advantage whatsoever. I thought if they played at home after the long week, because now they're going from the long week to the Pacific Northwest, they should be well rested. I want to believe they're going to win this game here, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Seattle understands who we're bringing into that building, and they're not going to be intimidated whatsoever at all. That 12th man knows who the Giants are. We don't know what Seattle's schedule looks like. This could be the game they're thinking their get-right game. Remember, they were a couple spots below us. They finished kind of with a similar record as we did. They were in a lot of games. They scored a lot of points last year. And I think that if they shore up their defense a little bit, which was bad last year, they can win. I think what we need to worry about is the run game because the run game is where I think the Giants' defense is going to be its weakness. It's real Achilles heel. You can only pass rush for so long. And while Dexter Lawrence is a great pass rusher, they were running by him last year as well. And teams are going to figure out how to run against his defense. Tennessee didn't have a great run defense last year. And I know that people are trying – you can't compare necessarily defense to defense, but you got to think since that guy wasn't great and he's not using the same personnel as he did in Tennessee, which we could argue Tennessee's personnel last year was slightly better than the Giants. Right. And not for nothing, people talk about the defense being a strength. This guy doesn't force turnovers on the defensive side the same way Wink Martindale does. They were also, not leading the league in turnovers last year. So with that being said, I'm worried about this team, which I think is going to be a bend but don't break defense, which doesn't mean it's going to be bad, but it means it may not give up a lot of touchdowns, but it may give up a lot of points in terms of field goals and things like that because they're going to bend but don't break. And because they don't create a lot of turnovers, and they're going to need to create a lot of turnovers off that pass rush and force fumbles and sack fumbles and things of that nature, because that's what really kept the Giants in games last year, they're going to have a tough time if they don't get home. Now, I love Brian Burns, but he can be had. Kayvon Thibodeau can be had too. Those guys aren't the greatest run defenders as well. So if you start to run downhill in a game like this, where Seattle does like to run, they pound the rock, they can make it easy on a quarterback like Geno Smith, again, who's a veteran. Not saying he's going to be light the world on fire, but when you have Jackson Smith-Njigba, you have DK Metcalf, you got Noah Fant, and you've got Tyler Lockett out there, you're going to have some easy assignments out there. You're going to be able to exploit the Giants' defense. And I think this is what a lot of people don't realize is that our defensive line is our strength. We got three guys who are in the top five. They're probably top 10, top 5 of their position, right? But what people don't realize is that Dexter Lawrence doesn't have Leonard Williams next to him. So that's another thing that we need to worry about.
I mean, I wish I could share that enthusiasm, heavyweight champ, man. I love that that's how optimistic you absolutely are, man. I hope you're right. I hope you're
I'm
nailing
not.
this
No
take
comment.
here.
No comment.
But I hope you're nailing this take right here. I hope we can come back and revisit this and say, Dan, the champ was right, man. The champ was right. But we'll find out. I think we're a long way from that, to be honest, though. A couple people in the chat I want to say thank you. Welcome aboard Deception. Wales, thank y'all. Appreciate y'all fellas stopping in, man.
Thank you, people. Thank you. We do this for you. What are we at? So I'm going to say that they're going to lose to Seattle. because now we got to speed it up a little bit. Lose to
Yeah.
Seattle. So they're 1-4. So we both have them at 1-4. What's next? Week 6.
Week 6 is the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday Night Football.
In
And that's going to
Cincinnati.
be at MetLife Stadium. At MetLife
Oh, okay.
Stadium
Joe Burrow's playing.
I mean, he's technically should be, yeah.
Okay, and
I
they
mean,
they still have Hendricks, who had 17 sacks last season.
yeah, they have him still.
Okay,
They
one
still
and
got
five.
Chase. They still got Jamar Chase. T. Higgins might not be happy, but they still got him too. And yeah, that's the
Well, we
Bengals.
could also suffer injuries as well, which we don't have much depth. And a lot of these teams, a lot of these winning teams that we play have depth. That's why I give teams advantage over us, because they've had injuries last year. Our teams had injuries across the board, and they plugged in players and they played. The Giants had players injuries across the board, plugged in players and looked like dog shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to be level headed here and see what I saw from last year, understand what's at stake for Cincinnati. I'll be quick with it. Cincinnati is in a conference of champions. They're trying to be a champion again. They were in the playoffs last couple of years. They fell off last year without Joe Burrow. They rejiggered some things on offense and defense. And I think they're going to know, again, people need to understand the Giants are not a team that these teams in the AFC North are looking at like they're coming in to lose. These teams are going to be favored to win. Okay, so us not picking them is not going to be the overall consent. I'm not using my heart sleeve here. I'm using my brain. For what I saw last year and what I'm putting out on the table right now. The Giants are going to have a tough time against teams like this, because this team is looking at us saying, this is our roadblock to getting us in the playoffs. They don't want to be a team like Cleveland, like Ravens, like Pittsburgh, where you're out of the playoffs because you decided to let one loose against the Giants and lose one of those games in a game you should win. We talk about good teams and winning games they should win. Cincinnati, you should win this game. That's one of those games where you should be favored. You should dog walk the Giants and keep it moving.
I think it will depend on I think, obviously
Hope not.
it's always going to, a lot depends on health, but at the end of the day, I mean, this team Cincinnati team we saw was a lot different without Joe Burrow in the lineup, a lot significantly
Still
different.
feisty on defense, though.
But they're still scrappy, and like you said, we're going to come into this game as a home underdog on Sunday Night Football against a superior football
And
team.
especially if we're
Like Adam said,
1-4.
should get the W, should absolutely win. And I can't pick us to win this. I think this is too tough an opponent. I think a team with this offense has too much ability, and their defense is definitely feisty as well. I don't see us having much of a chance in this one. To be honest, if I'm being honest with myself, let's move on to the next week, though, man. Next week we're back in the division, man. We're back in the division next week, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. You know how
They
much
do
I
us
love
no
this football
favors.
team.
They do
The
us no
Philadelphia
favors.
Eagles, it wasn't enough to have Cleveland week 3, then Dallas week 4, then Seattle week 5, and then Cincinnati week 6. Let's go ahead week 7. Let's give them the Philadelphia Eagles. Team that we absolutely laid the lumber on last week to finish their end of their season. You think they don't remember that? They think the Eagles don't remember us making them tap out by halftime in that final game of a season, which meant something to the Philadelphia Eagles, a game that they needed to win. Yeah, they remember that. And that feeling is in their mouth. Oh, by the way, they got our running back, by the way. That's our former running back, I should say.
Trust me.
They got him. They got him in their backfield now. Oh, they re-signed, they restructured. They got AJ. They extended AJ Brown. Oh, yeah, they extended Devontae Smith. Oh, yeah, they got this guy named Dallas Goedert. Oh, yeah, I know Kelsey retired, but they still got a damn strong offline, a core offensive lineman. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, that guy, Jalen Hurts. Week 7, week 8, whatever week it is. Philadelphia Eagles. I don't see it happening, folks. I'm just going to make it that plain and simple. I don't see us being even in the same stratosphere as this football team. I don't see it.
Man, when you name those players, you just go, damn. You're just like, damn. Because when you think about it, right, Jalen Hurts haven't had a dynamic back like Barkley. I know whatever you want to say about Barkley, love him, hate him. I don't care if he left. Players are players. Do what you got to do. We weren't winning with you. We're gonna still lose without you. Enjoy a winning team, right? So he goes to Philadelphia, and he's gonna circle this game. So I expect him to have a big game. And he has trade secrets for the Eagles defense against his quarterback. You don't think he's going to spill the beans and say Daniel Jones sucks at this, Daniel Jones sucks at that? Yeah, he's going to know. There's going to be some trade secrets. However, the thing that scares me is like you've got now Jalen Hurts and a dynamic running back. They can do anything. Their offense is going to be so open. You're not even going to know what to do with it. Is he going to pitch it to Barkley? Is he going to throw it to Barkley? Is Barkley going to go out and pass play? When you're a defense, who's getting the ball? It's going to confuse a lot of people, and not to mention their skill position players like you just mentioned. I just don't think the Giants are going to have the firepower against. This is what I'm worried about. Sure, the Giants will have a solid defense. Let's say they are solid. When they get into shootouts, because they're going to get into shootouts and they're going to be spread wide. That's how the Giants are going to be beaten this year. How do you beat a pass rush? You spread it out. You spread the defense out, and you get the matchups that you need. Or what you do is you bring them in big and you run right down their throats. The Giants are going to have to get home quickly, and when you have guys like Barkley and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and you're probably going to run a different offense, because the one thing they were missing last year, if Dallas Goedert stay healthy, I think their offense change. I don't know if they're going to. I had a conversation with AK about their offense. They run 11 personnel all the time, and that's what kind of stopped them. But now, I said to him, now you can run that 11 personnel because you have Barkley in the backfield. That's going to change everything because they're going to have to account for him. You don't need to account for DeAndre Swift the same way you need to account for Barkley. So if they still run 11 personnel next year, it's going to be a little different. And I think they're going to beat the hell out of us. So that makes us 1-5 on my book. Damn. No, 1-6.
There's only one thing I'll say with the Philadelphia Eagles is some people have been questioning this offseason. You know, they obviously added Kellen Moore as their offensive coordinator, and his offense. They want to, as Kellen Moore is willing to come in and kind of, and work with what he has and not try to force necessarily his way on this offense. This offense could flourish if he just takes advantage of the pieces that he has. So that's all yet to be determined, and we will see. But right now, based off of what we know, there's no way I'm picking the Giants to beat this Philadelphia Eagle team. This team looks like an absolute juggernaut. We didn't even talk about some of the moves they made on defense to hopefully improve what was the absolute Achilles heel of their football team a season ago, which was that defense. We didn't even discuss that.
Yes, the rich got richer.
They literally drafted two of the top two, 3 cornerbacks in the NFL.
Not to bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson
on both of them. And yeah, C.J. Yeah, so look, let's move on. Okay, following after the Philadelphia Eagles, Week 8, back to prime time, Monday Night Football at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh my God! How could I? I want to give a win somewhere to the Giants so badly, but these teams are just. Their mission is different.
The Steelers are a little bit of unknown, a little bit as far as
they got a good defense, bro.
But they have I understand that. But let's face it, this team is I think this is possibly a type of game you could possibly still figure out a way to maybe squeak something out in. You don't know what to expect with Russell Wilson back at quarterback now, or is it going to be Justin Fields by that point in time? We don't know we don't have any idea what could happen with this Steeler team. But offensively, this team still leaves a little bit to be desired, at least until they prove otherwise. And they're not necessarily going to go out there and blow you away, throwing the ball over the yard, putting up points all over the place. At least we don't think so. Defensively, though, they are a problem. They will be hard to do anything to move the football on. I think T.J. Watt will come out in this year and make a statement and say, I am the best defensive player in the league. Give me that goddamn award. It just keeps eluding him.
Watch him have a career night against us.
There's a strong possibility that could happen.
On Monday Night Football, with the entire world watching in the New York market, I could just see it. Just T.J. Watt, sack number 6. Daniel Jones carted off the field. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I mean,
for me,
I don't know how I feel about this game fully. I think the Steelers still get the job done. I think the Steelers beat us. I think they're still just better than us enough that they'll still be able to take care of business.
The thing that I worry about is the Giants don't have a lot of experience on the offensive side of the football in terms of the wide receiver position. Okay, Darius Slayton, kick rocks. Who cares about that guy? But the top three guys, Wandale, Hyatt, and Neighbors, right? These are defenses that are going to come in and try to basically eliminate, not worry about Devin Smith, Devin Singletary, and try to stop the run like that. They don't need to man the box. They're going to try to let Daniel Jones beat them in the passing game. And this is where I worry about when we have to rely on him is what I'm worried. And we played good defenses in the Steelers. And, let me ask you this question because, you said quarterback play. Russell Wilson had like 3,000 yards last year and 26 touchdowns, right? If he plays that way for the Pittsburgh Steelers, do we not think they're going to be a playoff team? They were a playoff team last year with Kenny Pickett. I mean, that's what I'm just saying. Like, that's my question. Is like
they could be, but this division it's by far the toughest division in football, the AFC
right
division. And you're talking about 4 really good football teams.
Well, they just need to make the wild card. I mean, that's what. And they made the wild card last year with Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett. And all I'm saying is, if you were to ask Mike Tomlin and he told you, and he said, listen, if I can get Russell Wilson here, who had a solid year for Denver, it wasn't great, but it was a solid year for Denver in terms of just what you're expecting. If I get that year out of Russell Wilson, I do believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers will be fighting for at least the wild card playoff spot. And what I mean is these teams are on a different mission than the Giants. The Giants are supposed to be building. That's what I want to see. I don't care about wins this year. Build this team, build a foundation, do what you got to do for the next fucking quarterback that comes in here, okay? Do that. Establish yourself, get an identity going. Don't need to worry. However, Pittsburgh, they don't have time to lose. You're bringing in Russell Wilson. You're trying to win games. They're going to look at the Giants. Again, I'm telling you, these teams are circling the Giants on their schedule as we need to win this game. We need to get this game because when it comes down to the playoff race, at some point, these teams will need these wins to get into the playoffs because the stacked deck is high, right? You have Kansas City, who might take a step down, but you still have all these other teams. The Ravens are still in their division. You still have the Browns, who we think are going to take a step up. Cincinnati, this team was 9-8 last year on the cusp, so they're going to want to fight. So that's what I worry about. So, anyways, I don't know if they're going to win. I'll give the Giants a win here, though. So 2-6 for me. 1-7, I do believe for.
I'm still at 1-7. Yeah, I'm at 1-7. I still don't give us a nod against Pittsburgh. You said I made a video about it. Just the running backs we play this year are insane. Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Henry, Bijan, Chubb. I don't know about Chubb yet. I'm not sure if he'll be ready to go week 3, but Harris, Warren, Chardonnay, Kenneth Walker. Yeah.
Exactly. And we lost Leonard Williams.
It's craziness. It's absolute craziness.
And who? And Jordan Phillips is going to be your starter. That guy was a wash in Buffalo. Okay, and I'm supposed to believe that guy you paid no money. And Nunez Roches is a run stuffer. Yeah, I like these young guys that we talked about, and we hope that they develop. But there's a reason why they're 5th round picks, fellas, people, audience. Anyone. There's a reason. PJ Riley, DJ Davidson. I love the names, love it all. But again, there's a reason it's 5th round picks. I hope they exceed those expectations. But I'm a little worried about this team. Anyways, 2-6 for me, 1-7 for Mac. We got to keep going because we have another team we got to kind of do. And
versus next week, week 9, we got the Washington Commanders again to finish up this season series. I think this is where we get this. I think we do split with the Washington Commanders, and I think this is the one that they win at home in MetLife. I think they'll find a way to beat that division rival that they always seem to have success against. If Daniel Jones is still at playing at the quarterback position at this time, he does notoriously have great games against the Washington Commanders.
If he's even healthy for that game.
So if he's out there still, and he's healthy, I think I do believe the New York Giants will figure out a way to get the season split with the Washington Commanders. For myself, that's how I feel about it.
Well, I already kicked Daniel Jones out of the game against Pittsburgh. I said that's where he'll probably get injured. So I'll say the Drew Lock era. I think they can have a chance to win this game. I'm going to give them a W here because I think what I'll do is I'll take away the Minnesota win and give it to Washington. Say they split here. Washington wins at home. The Giants lose at home. they'll win here. So 3 wins for the Giants. I think with the Drew Lock-led New York Football Giants, I think they'll win their games. So they'll be 4-6. No, 3-6 here, and right in the thick of it.
Yeah, I got them at 2-7. I think 2-7. I believe I got them at now. So following that Washington game, New York Giants take a little trip across the pond over to Germany, Munich, Germany, to play the Carolina Panthers. Will be a home game, Carolina Panthers, over there in Munich, Germany. Now, I think New York Giants do go in there and over there and get the W. They play well when they go across overseas. And also, I think Carolina Panthers is maybe they're definitely the one team for sure that I can say I feel I can speak with confidence that I think we are definitely better than in this league going into this league entering this season. And I say that pretty confidently. I think this is the one team that I can feel like we're better than the Carolina Panthers. We need to go in there. This could be the first time we're even favored this season. It could possibly be the first time we're favored this season is this game over in Germany against the Carolina Panthers. And I think the New York Giants do take care of business over there.
I think this is a game, since I gave them Pittsburgh, this is a game where the Giants let down. They overlook, right? They just got off a high win against Washington, and I think if they beat Pittsburgh, right, the 2 back-to-back wins are kind of feeling themselves, and they lose to the Panthers, and they're now 3-7 with a letdown here game against the Panthers.
Well, I got them at 3-7 as well, but I got them beating the Panthers. Then we got.
Well, I just right, but I just had them beating Pittsburgh, which nobody thought they were going to beat. So you beat Pittsburgh, you beat Washington.
This is what we do this for. I mean, this is fun. That's why I say this is the fun part. This is predicting wins in May. Like it's always fun. So the New York Giants, after following the trip over to Germany, will have their bye week. And then after that week off, they'll come back and they'll host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week, I guess that's week like 11 by that point, or 12 or something, whatever. Host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This will be a tough game. Tampa Bay coming off, division championship from a year ago and down in the NFC South. Say what you want about the division, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've got some stuff. I mean, they went out and extended Baker Mayfield after coming off a really good season, strong season last year. It's got Mike Evans, locked Mike Evans up. Still gets Chris Godwin. Tampa Bay team will be tough. They'll be scrappy. I think they may be honestly a little too much for the New York Giants to handle. I just think right now, based off of what I can speak of and know about these teams, I just feel like Tampa Bay's got the edge, and I think somehow Giants coming off the bye week will drop this one to the Buccaneers at home. Might be a tight one. This could be a fun one to watch.
I think the Bucs are going to beat them, just because, again, if the Giants are 3-7, as we are both predicting, and let's say the Buccaneers are fighting for a wild card, these are going to be teams, these are going to be games that they are going to look at on their schedule and be like, we need to beat this team. We were a playoff team last year. We need to beat teams like this to stay in the race. You understand? We as Giant fans think there's one team that we love and think that's they're going to beat everybody. But there are 15 other teams in the conference, and all of them have gotten better. And 7 of them made the playoffs last year. 7 of them. And then there are teams that were on the cusp of making the playoffs last year that didn't, and we were like number 11, right? So you still have some of those teams that are still going to be in that mix. Seattle, Tampa Bay, Atlanta. You got the Rams, you got the Cardinals, and you still have the Eagles, you still have the Cowboys, and you still have all the teams that we talk about in the NFC Central, where you have Green Bay, Detroit, the Vikings, and Chicago. So there's a lot of teams going to be fighting for those last couple spots. And if you do the division winners right now, let's just do it off the top. You have the NFC West, we'll go 49ers. Let's just say the Eagles. Let's just say right now the Falcons, and then you say in NFC, in the North, you have the Lions, right? So let's just put those 4 teams in, right? So then Green Bay went to the playoffs last year. You're going to have probably Minnesota's probably going to be better. They may not be playoffs, but they might be better. You're still going to have Tampa Bay, who's going to be in the mix. New Orleans is going to be in the mix, okay? Still, because their schedule, right? That's already 3 teams I've named. Not to mention probably Chicago might be in there. Their defense is pretty good. They're not going to just let their quarterback tank their season.
They could potentially have an explosive offense. Potentially.
Right, exactly. So there are, I think, other teams in here that have a better, I do believe, offense than the Giants, and I think they're going to be able to do it. And that's why I'm like this game that they're playing against in week 11 against Tampa Bay. To me, that's going to be a loss because the Tampa Bay is trying to fight to get back into playoff contention again against Atlanta, who they see just got a quarterback, and they know that New Orleans is just they retooled their roster as well. So I expect those 3 teams to be in the thick of the wild card race, and in order to do that, you got to be a team like the Giants. So I think the Giants lose 3-8 after bye.
All right, now we get to week 13. Another short week and another trip to Big D against the Dallas Cowboys on Turkey Day on Thanksgiving. We got the New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving for the second time in the last 3 years. And yeah, I know this goes against all my conventional thinking. But I think somehow I'm with you, DL, up there. What you said earlier. I also think that somehow the New York Giants figure out a way to beat the Cowboys one of these games this year, and it's going to be on Thanksgiving, man. I think it's going to be this Thanksgiving game down in Dallas. I think the New York Giants go out there and get the job done on Turkey Day, man. I know I sound crazy, Adam. I know you probably think, what the hell?
Well, I'll be choking on my turkey if that happens, but I doubt it's going to happen. Dallas plays very well on Turkey Day, no matter what happens. Dak Prescott basically gave us the game last year. We were a better team in 2022 than we are this year, and I don't think we're going to have a great record going into that game. I think we're going to be. If the Giants have 5 wins, it'll be a good game. But if the Giants have like 2 to 3 wins, which we think they're going to probably be around, I don't think the Cowboys do it. I think the Cowboys are going to be like 8-3 in this game, trying to fight for that division. I think they're going to stomp a mud hole in our ass, and I think the Giants are going 3-9, 3-9 after this. So you're at 4-8. I'm at 3-9. So we'll see.
Well, what do you know? Now I got a better record all of a sudden than you. I done surpassed you, Adam. I was playing catch up. All right. Following week 14 now, we got New Orleans Saints coming to MetLife Stadium. It's tricky when the Saints don't usually. A team that notoriously doesn't play well in the outdoor stadiums, especially in the colder months. Especially, I think this is another game where the New York Giants can find a way to get a win here, man. I think the Saints are, they play down in that pretty ugly NFC South division. I think the Giants have a chance here. I think by this point in the season, who knows? We don't know what kind of issue, what kind of things either team's going to be dealing with, but we'll just hypothetically here. I think the Giants can find a way to pull this one out and get the 5 wins.
I think they'll beat the Saints, and so I think 4 wins. So we're at 4, and I'm at 4-9. You're at 5-8.
Yeah, I'm at 5-8.
Oh man, flirting with 500.
All right, now we get to week 15, and it gets real again. It gets very, very real again. We're still staying in MetLife, but we're hosting the Baltimore Ravens.
That's a loss.
Unlike the last time we played the Baltimore Ravens, I don't think we're squeaking out a W this time. I think they're going to come in and beat the living shit out of us.
A mud hole in our ass.
I think it's going to be an ugly, ugly game, and I think they come in and absolutely take us apart, man. That team is just they're too loaded right now, and for the New York Giants to deal with, unless barring something disastrous happening to them along the way during their season, I don't see us having a chance in hell.
Oh my God!
In this game,
they're going to be there. That team is going. They were 15-1 last year, and you think they're going to lose to the fucking Giants, please?
No. Plus, like I said, people don't forget. They remember what happened the last time they played the Giants. They don't. People don't forget. Just
Lamar might be forget.
a lot of those guys are over there, still on that team, and
John Harbaugh is going to have them ready to go.
they're waiting to let everybody know how much better they are than the New York Giants, and I think they're going to go out there and prove that on that game, which will probably be the first. Probably be looks like that'll be sometime in December. So yeah,
It'll be December to remember.
yeah. And then okay, let's follow that up with a team that I think will be winning their division this year down in the NFC South, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. I think the addition of Kirk Cousins is just pretty much gives that team exactly what they needed, which was a legitimate quarterback. Because if they had a quarterback of Kirk Cousins' level, for instance, last season, they probably would have ran away with the NFC South division, to be quite frank. And at Atlanta, at that point in time, you don't know how important this game is going to be for the Atlanta Falcons. They'll be, probably in the midst of a division title race, whatever, even just playoff positioning in general. Down in the Dome in Georgia, I think the Atlanta Falcons are probably going to clip the New York Giants here and get the job done. I think they're just better. I don't have any other expertise analysis other than that they're just better.
I think they're going to beat the Giants as well. Again, they're looking at the Giants as a road bump. That team is trying to get to the Super Bowl, right? They have Kirk Cousins. They've got skill position players all over the field. Okay, they've got B.J. Robinson. They have Drake London, who is a good receiver. They still have Kyle Pitts. I think they added another receiver as well to the mix. So I think they're going to be different. Their defense is pretty good. I know they got rid of Arthur Smith, but Raheem Morris is going to have that defense humming, like he did with LA last year. So I think I think this again. Teams look at the schedule just like we do. They go down the list like we go down the list, probably in May, and they kind of look at it and probably do the same thing and forecast like how can we get to the playoffs? How can we get to where we need to go? Beating teams like the Giants, who I have already at 4-10, which will now be 4-11. So,
and I'm at 5-10, I believe, and yeah, Deal. That's another great point. I mean, Kyle Pitts is a tremendous talent. Now he has a quarterback that probably is going to understand how talented he is,
right,
and start really getting that football.
Yeah,
to
T.J.
him
Hawkinson
and
last year
opening his game up significantly. And we're not even talking about the Drake London, Bijan Robinson. Oh, okay, look, enough of that. Atlanta's I think, get the job done as well. Following that week 17, we got the Indianapolis Colts coming to MetLife Stadium, man. The Colts. The Colts are another finicky team, man. And it's hard to know what they expect from them. I think they're a team with a sneaky good defense. I think it's pretty sneaky, like good. We don't know what to expect at quarterback. If damn, forgot the young man's name that quick. AR-15, Anthony Richardson. If he's back and healthy in the lineup and everything, this team could be in the mix down in that division. Who knows? We know Houston had that great season a year ago. Jacksonville's obviously still going to be very much in the mix in the AFC South. But the Colts could very much be in the mix as well. I mean, it came down to those three teams all to the very final week of the season last year, if I'm not mistaken. So this team could very much still be in the mix, and this could very much be a very important game for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, coming up to MetLife on the road, that may be a late December, January game, whatever. That still may be that could be a tough task, and for this Colts team, and this is Giants could possibly figure out a way to get this job done and maybe a spoiler for the Colts on the Colts season and maybe put them out of their misery or something to that fact. I'm gonna get a Giants a nod here and say Giants get win number 6 right here against the Indianapolis Colts, Week 17.
I'm going to say Giants get win number 5 here. I think AR-15 is going to be good. I think they'll be fighting for something. I think they're a pretty good team. Again, Jonathan Taylor is going to be – it's really going to be our run defense. If this team comes in and we can't stop a nosebleed in the run game, teams are just going to eat us up on defense. They're not going to care about throwing it over the top. They're just going to keep the game in front of them. getting 4 or 5 yards a clip. That's what the Eagles did. The reason the Eagles were so good, and I'll quickly say this, is when they get 5 yards a clip, they can open up their offense. Well, if they're getting 3 to 4 yards, 4.5 yards a clip, they're going to be able to throw short passes and dink and dunk down the field. And then our bend but don't break defense, we're going to have to rely on our pass rush to get home every time and not bring a blitz. And then when we do bring a blitz, there you go. That's what they're baiting you into doing. So we'll see what happens, man. I think they'll win this game. I think this will be the 5th win they get. I think the Colts will, stumble here, even though they're fighting for the playoffs. I think they stumble here, even though they're going to be a hard team.
Well, all right, and then finally, and week 18, wrapping the season up, playing them Philadelphia Eagles once again. Ended the season against the Philadelphia Eagles, and this game could be for all the marbles in the NFC East. Not between the Eagles and Giants, between the Eagles and Cowboys. but I think this game can once again have some serious, significant meaning for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't expect the same result as a year ago to finish the season. I think the Eagles will get the season sweep on the Giants this year, and I think they're going to take care of business once again in the final week of the season, which would have me having the New York Giants finishing at a whopping 6-11.
Well, this game, this could go either way for me, because if the Eagles have it wrapped up and they have a bye, they may not play their team, so the Giants might have a chance to win the game at that point. But I don't think they're going to win the game, so I have them at 5-12, which was kind of odd because I had them at 7 wins. But I think a lot, that might change. But last year I said 7 wins, they got 6. This year I said 5, and you said 6 this year. I think that's what they'll be: 6-11, 5-12. Yeah, man.
You have it, folks. I mean, that's about as real as we can keep it, man. I mean, as far as, like I said, a lot can change between now and the season, and a lot can change throughout the season. But based off of what I know as a football fan, in the month of May of 2024, that's what I got. I got the Giants 6-11. Adam got them 5-12. You got 5-12, Adam.
Yes, unfortunately.
And that's just the way the cookie crumbles, man. Just is what it is. Let's move on to the Philadelphia Eagles schedule. We have got their whole schedule leaked too as well. We can go through this a lot significantly quicker. Not going to spend so much time on each game.
Well, yeah, because it's not our full team. Obviously, we're Giant fans, and they don't have the full schedule. So,
So, week 1, the Philadelphia Eagles will be they'll be technically hosting the game, even though it's a technical home game for them, but it'll be played in Brazil against the Green Bay Packers. It should be a great game between two really good football teams. I think the Eagles just have so much firepower right now, man. I know the Packers are a good young team, but I think the Eagles may have a little too much for them to handle. I think the Eagles get the job done week 1 down in Brazil against the Packers.
This is an interesting game for me because I do believe the Packers are going to be fighting for a wild card / division. But I think the Eagles need to make a statement because of how they limped into the playoffs and basically got dog walked by Tampa Bay, in the last game of the year. So I think they retooled, and there's going to be a lot riding on this team. And you got guys like Barkley who are a little bit more calm, cool, and collected, who might be able to manage some of those egos a little bit. I think they're going to come out and try to make a statement on first week. So.
Right there.
Not if the Lions have anything to say for
it. And week 2, the Eagles on prime time, week 2, Monday Night Football, hosting the Atlanta Falcons in Philly. Once again, I think the Falcons are a good, strong, up-and-coming team, obviously. I think they are the favorites in their division down in NFC South, but I still think this Philadelphia Eagle team may once again just have a little too much for them, man. I think this could be a fun game. This could be one of those high-scoring, like one of those type of deals. But I think the Eagles ultimately will figure out a way to pull away and get the job done and go 2-0.
I think I agree with you only because I think the firepower for Philadelphia, if you're doing it, obviously there's turnovers and injuries, and we all know those things can happen. But if you're looking at just chalk, I think, I think Atlanta, the slight edge to goes to Philadelphia because their skill position players have done it longer and together longer. Kirk Cousins, while they may sneak out a win in their first game, they will probably still try and be gelling a little bit and trying to come together again. New offense, new everything, and the Eagles, who will be having a new offensive coordinator as well, but still kind of the same personnel playing together, especially at the quarterback position. I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to win that game.
All right, week 3, Philadelphia on the road, going down to the Bayou, taking on the Saints down in the New Orleans Superdome. Look, well, let's face it. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are just, even though it's down in New Orleans, it's tough to play in that dome. I don't think that's going to matter. I think the Eagles are just, I think they're way better than New Orleans Saints right now. How things stand right now, and I think they're just going to go down there and take the Saints apart, go up 3-0.
Uh, I don't really have too much to really rebut on that. I think you're probably right. I just think I just think teams are in different place. The Saints are fighting for wild card and building a team, and the Eagles are going for the Super Bowl. When you bring on Barkley, you get the best corner in the draft, two of the best corners in the draft. You show up your defense with the guys you brought in, and then the offensive weapon that you brought in. And Barkley, this is not to go to the playoffs. This is to have a deep run in the playoffs. So, listen, Detroit. Look, you could be right. We'll see. But either one of those teams is going to be the wild card. So that's why I'm saying the Giants have to. They can't. They have little margin for error this year. When it comes to playoffs, because there's so many other teams that will be, I believe, fighting for those last two spots. So
We get the Los Angeles Rams out there in the West, man, out in the NFC West as well, man. That team's going to be
right,
scrapping too, probably.
exactly. So you
Um,
got them, you got Detroit and Green Bay. So that's already 3 teams. You have the 49ers, right? And then, like I said, you have the Cowboys and Eagles. That's 7 teams, right? That's 6 teams right there. And then there's one team left fighting for the wild card, right? Another wild card team, which could be, I didn't even say the Atlanta Falcons yet, right? So there's your 7 teams right there. Right? If it goes chalk, that's what I'm saying. Like, there are so many more teams fighting for the playoffs this year than there were last year. Really, it was against Seattle. While you're going up this year, it's going to be Seattle's going to be there. A lot of these teams are looking like, hey, we're trying to get back into that race, and this is where it happens.
all right. Let's go week 4 for the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Right now, like me and Adam both got them 3-0. Week
Whew.
4, this gets interesting. The Eagles go back to where their season ended the season last year, down to Tampa Bay, man, taking on them Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This could be an interesting game.
Man.
Going back. Obviously they're going down there with a little revenge on their mind, but that could honestly be their undoing in this one a little bit. Possibly going down there a little too fired up, trying to a little. So we don't know how it could go out, but I still think the Eagles have a little too much, and I think the same not won't be the same Eagle team that the Buccaneers took on in postseason this past back in January. So I think the Eagles find a way to once again get the job done and go up 4-0 to start the season, man.
I'm going to have them lose here just because they're going to have an emotional couple weeks riding high. And this is a game where they'll go down. It'll probably be rainy or muddy or some type of thing's going to happen. And they'll just lose one of those fluky games that the Eagles tend to drop every once in a while. And this will be that game. They're going to go down there. I know they're going to have revenge on their mind, but sometimes that might be a little overzealous. And I think Tampa Bay will also rise to the occasion. So I've had 3-1. They got to lose somewhere. I don't think they're going a perfect season. So
No, I by no means. I think that week 5, they have a bye. The Eagles will be on their bye week 5, so they got an early bye. See how that affects
imagine,
them as well.
imagine if they go 4-0 and they're to their bye. My God.
But coming off that bye week, business definitely picks up. They will be hosting the Cleveland Browns at the Link. This is where I think the Eagles get their first loss. For me personally, I think this defense comes in and just absolutely wants to prove a point against this high-powered electric all. And I think that the Cleveland Browns take it to the Eagles at the Link and get the job done in week 5, week 6. I mean.
Interesting. I'm gonna have them win this game because I think you're gonna have 2 weeks to prepare. Coming off a loss at Tampa Bay, I think they'll be able to get rested and ready to go. And again, like you said, the offense has got to carry them. I think that's what's going to happen. I think the defense for the Eagles is going to be slightly improved, which is not saying much, but I think they'll be a little bit better with Vic Fangio as their coordinator. And I think they're going to come out and we have, we have at the same record as 4-1.
Yes, sir. All right, week 7 we pretty much can skip. We already discussed week 7. That's against at MetLife against the New York Giants. We both feel like the Eagles are going to beat the Giants in week 7 at MetLife Stadium. Week 8 we can move. The Eagles will be traveling to Cincinnati, taking on the Bengals. This can also be another great game, another fun one. Uh, I think the Eagles. I think the Eagles. Coming off big win against the Giants or whatever. I think the Eagles will drop the ball here in Cincinnati, man. Going on the road, I think the Bengals will find a way to knock the Eagles off at home, man. I guess Adam stepped away for a minute. So yeah, I do have the Eagles losing to Cincinnati here, especially at this stage of the season. Cincinnati, if they're healthy, fully healthy, their weapons, I think what they bring to the table offensively, I understand what the Eagles have offensively as well. But I think the difference in this, the key in this game is going to be the defense. Cincinnati's defense, to me, could be potentially a little bit better, and I believe that's going to be the difference in this game where I think the Bengals get the job done. How you feel about
I'm
the?
Cincinnati, huh? I think Cincinnati is. I'm going to say they're going to be Super Bowl bound, so I wouldn't be surprised if they win this game. So I think the Eagles will drop another game. I think they'll go. What are we at? Week 6. I think they're going to be four and
Week 8.
two.
We'll
Week
be
8.
week.
Sorry. So we'll be five and they'll be 5-2 here. So well, no, they'll be 4-2 because they had a bye week. So yeah, I think they'll be 4-2. They'll lose this game here, um, and yeah, that's what I have. I don't have too much. I think the Bengals are just with Joe Burrow. They're a Super Bowl team. So
Yeah, we got the same record right now. We're evened up with the same record, I believe. 5-2, I think.
you have two losses.
Week 9. Yeah, I got 2 losses. So week 9, Sunday night football. Eagles back on prime time. They will be hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. I
Ooh,
think they get their mojo back. I think they get their mojo back
yep,
against the Jags, man.
yeah.
And I think they
So do
go
I.
out there and take the Jaguars apart on
It's
Sunday
gonna
night
be in all
football.
black uniforms. They're gonna be in their all black uniforms,
I'm sure it will
prime
be.
time. And it's gonna be the Jaguars again. I just think they're gonna, like you said, after losing to Cincinnati, and I think they're losing to Cincinnati. I think they're gonna rise up and say, "We are the Eagles. We're gonna beat this Jacksonville team." And I think they'll put on a show for their team. I think Jacksonville doesn't have. See, the thing is this: if you get into shootouts with the Eagles, you have to be able to match them band for band with the team, right? It's hard to defend the Eagles because they have three good skill position players, not to mention another receiver that's coming in. Then they have a back in Barkley that kind of exposes everybody, and he's going to be the difference maker. I'm telling you right now, Saquon Barkley is putting the Eagles offense over the top because you cannot double team anybody because you have to keep a guy on as a spy for both the quarterback and now the running back. Like, holy shit, what am I going to do? So, that's where I'm going with that. I think they're going to win that game. I got them winning. So what are we at? Five and
Yeah,
5-2,
that should be 6-2, right? That was week
6-2. Yeah, 6-2. Sorry, we're at week 9.
6-2. Yeah, well, that was week. So now we got the week 10. We got the Eagles traveling down to Dallas. Their first matchup with the Cowboys, week 10. This could be
I
a
think
big
they'll
one to
split.
see who maybe takes that momentum in the division. In the division race, which I think most can believe is going to be mostly between the Eagles and Cowboys, most likely. But we'll see. You never know what can happen. But this will be a big one down in Dallas. I think the Cowboys get the first one at home, man.
Yes, I do too. I think it's going to be 6-3 for the Eagles, after this one, just because I think they're going to split. Doesn't mean they won't end up winning the division, but I just think they're going to split. So,
Yeah, I think
and
the
this is
Cowboys get this first one at home. So week 11, they take on Thursday, short week actually. Week 11, they're going to be on a short week Thursday night football against the Washington Commanders.
they're going to beat
Big
them.
division matchup. I think on a short week, I think the better team. I feel like on short weeks like this, the better you just go with the better team in most cases, and I think that usually how it works out. And I think the Eagles are just a football team. Commanders, I think they're definitely rolling in the right direction, but they're still not quite there yet with the Eagles.
Yeah.
I don't believe.
So yeah, I agree with
Another
you.
W,
So that's yeah. So that's 7-3.
3. Okay, week 12, Eagles, Sunday night football. Damn, back on prime time again. Week 12, Sunday night football, going out to LA, SoFi, taking on them Los Angeles Rams. Whew.
Ooh. I'm going to say they win this game though. Long week to prepare. Going out there, I think they'll be 8-3.
I think this one
Beating
has
the
potential
Rams.
shootout written all over it as well.
It's gonna be
Another
fun.
potential,
Fun.
yeah, another high scoring affair here. I think. I think the Eagles actually get the job done here. I think they edge them out a little bit out there at home. I just think they're just a slightly better. I think they're the better team overall. Even though the Rams have some legitimate weapons, we were just talking about the Rams a little while ago that they're going to probably be in. They could potentially be in the mix out there in that division. But I think the Eagles edge them out at home, uh, out there in SoFi
Yeah.
in week 12. Oh, so what's week 13? Traveling down the turnpike to Baltimore, taking on them Ravens.
Ooh. Ooh. I have them at a loss.
Here's I got them losing because I think what the Ravens will be doing well is running that football is what the Eagles defensively do the worst, which is stopping the run. I think the Ravens will take it to them. I mean, I know the Eagles got big boys up front there, but until they prove that they can be a legitimate run stuffing football team, you know the Baltimore Ravens are going to run the football right at their ass, and I
Yes, they
think
will.
that the Ravens are going to get the job done
So
against
that's
the
7-4.
Eagles because their ability to run the football.
Right? 7-4 or
All right, week
8-4?
14. I think I might be one ahead. I think I got one more win than you, extra win than you. Yeah, I got one. I think one more win. We
Okay.
didn't
So
agree on
you're
the
8-3.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Well,
then
the
I have more
Ravens just
wins than
now was
you.
the fourth one. The Ravens is the fourth loss. I just gave them their fourth loss. The Ravens is their fourth
That's
loss.
how many wins do you have for them?
Let me see. Let's go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got eight wins for them.
So you're 8-4. I'm 8-4 as well. No,
Oh, we all got this. Okay, we must have. Oh, we must disagree on another game too. Then I guess.
because I said they're gonna
Okay,
because
so week 14, we're gonna absolutely agree on this one, and it's gonna be a win for the Eagles. They played the Panthers, hosting the Panthers at the link.
oh yeah,
I think there's.
win number
I think we
10.
both can agree that they're going to beat the hell out of the Eagles.
Win number 10.
I mean, out of the Panthers. I mean, all right, week 15, they will be hosting in-state rival Pittsburgh Steelers at the link in week 15.
I think they're gonna win this game, so I'm gonna give them 11. 11-4.
I agree with you. I think they're going to be a little too much for the Steelers. All right, week 16 at the Commanders.
Win. That's 12.
Yep, got them down for a W there too. Now here's where business picks up. Week 17. This could be an absolute showdown game for NFC East supremacy. The Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Dallas
The Dallas
Cowboys
Cowboys.
in week 17. 17, the big Week 17 matchup. You almost wonder why they didn't flip flop this and have the Eagles and the Cowboys play Week 18, and they could have been maybe for all the marbles,
Right.
man. But
Well, that'll
nonetheless,
make
Week 17,
well.
we're getting the Cowboys Eagles.
Watch what week 18 for the Cowboys be. Cowboys Washington. So it's gonna be Giants Eagles last game of the year. Washington Dallas the end of the year. I think the Eagles are gonna win this game. I think the Eagles are gonna win this game. I don't know if that means a division. I think it's gonna come down to week 18 because I think with the split that I gave them, they're gonna come down to the game. I think the Cowboys will roughly be around the same record. 12 and they'll be 12 and 5, 13 and 4. So we'll say the Eagles will get win number 12 here, I think, right? And then
Yep.
and then next week, so I think at the end of this game, the Eagles and the Cowboys will be tied with the same record, but the Eagles will split, so it'll be 12 and 4 here, going into week 13. Week 18, excuse me.
And we know Week 18 we discussed earlier against the New York Football Giants, and I think the Eagles do not end their season the way they did a year ago. Like we already mentioned, I think they go out and beat the Giants in Week 18 as well, which would have the Eagles finishing 13 and 4 by my
And I think that
calculations.
13 and 4, I have them as well, but I think the Cowboys finish at 12 and 5 with an upset coming from by the Commanders at the end of their season. Because they'll just be the Cowboys will do that. They'll think the Commanders will be a dog walk, and we know how the Cowboys do sometimes. They like to limp into the playoffs, and Mac says the Cowboys have a letdown game. I think this for all the marbles with the NFC East on the line, although you're already in the playoffs, doesn't really matter per se if you win the division or not. You're still in the playoffs, and depending on what the seeding will be, you might, you could get in, right? Let's say the rest of their starters, let's say they don't. I think the Cowboys are going to be 12 and 5 and just be out there. But the Eagles will be 13 and 4. I can't believe we have the same record for the Eagles, even though the games might be different, like the win and losses, like the games that we pick to win and lose, but the record ends up being the same, 13 and 4, which is
13 and 4.
2 games better than they were last year. Wow.
Yeah, it's a great record. I think this team is going to be legit, though. I mean, they already were a good team, and they found a way to yet still get better. So, we don't have the
Yeah.
full Commanders Cowboys schedules, unfortunately, so we can't really go in depth over them. But we can talk about a few. We know some of the matchups regardless, and we can talk about a few matchups. And one I wanted to talk about, I've been kind of excited to talk about this one. It's not a division matchup, but it involved Washington, the Washington Commanders. They do have the Chicago Bears on their schedule, man. The Washington Commanders. We take the Chicago Bears. You're gonna get a showdown between the number 1, number 2 overall pick, Jaden Daniels,
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams. I'm sorry, Caleb Williams. I'm so bad with names, but we'll get a showdown game. How you feel about a matchup? I don't know when they're gonna play. Hope it's kind of early in the season and injuries won't be a factor. I want to see these guys. I want to see these guys go out there and really put on a show, man. These 2 young quarterbacks that draft number 1, number 2 overall. How do you feel about that matchup?
I think it's going to be interesting to see. It's probably be a battle for the Rookie of the Year. Those 2 are probably going to be fighting for it, and it'll be fun to watch. I'm sure the franchise will be going in different directions. One's more ready to go to the playoffs than the other. That would be Chicago. I'm not saying they're going to go to the playoffs. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you look at the roster that Chicago's built, their defense is pretty good. Their offensive skill position players have Keenan Allen, Roman Lindsay, DJ Moore, Caleb Williams, not to mention the running back that they have in their room, and then their decent offensive line. You could be seeing a team that could be fighting for it. It'll be box office. I'll definitely, hopefully it'll be on TV somewhere. Maybe it'll get flexed down. That's a game that, even though they're 2 bad teams, I wouldn't mind them flexing later on in the year just so we can see 2 new quarterbacks play. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And the Dallas Cowboys, man, Detroit Lions. That I don't know when they're going to be locking horns, but they're definitely going to be locking horns as well this season, man. That's
going to be a prime time.
Another game that has that they need to have that game in prime time. Yeah, I absolutely agree. That should be another exciting game on the schedule for the Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, don't know when that game's taking place yet, obviously, because I don't have their schedule. But that should be definitely a fun one as well to check out, man, for sure.
I
Detroit's
think,
definitely one of those teams that's big time rising right now, big time.
but now you're talking about getting into the details of the schedule and conference now, right? You also have to have a better record than the Lions at the end of the day, right? Because think about it as this, right? I know people don't want to talk about the home field advantage and all that shit, but it matters. Record matters. You want to be a top seed. You want to have home field advantage. You know, you want to. God forbid you win. Let's say the Cowboys, hypothetically speaking, are number 2, right? And we'll just say for argument's sake, the 49ers are 1, right? It's hypothetical. And they go in there and Detroit's number 4. They're the 4 wild card team. You know, they won the division, but they don't have the better record. And somehow the Cowboys and Detroit play for the NFC Championship game. Wouldn't you want that home field advantage? You know, we beat them in the regular season, so now we have a chance to beat them again at home. I'm not saying it's going to matter. All I'm saying is, as a mindset of a team, you'd rather be at home than away. So it's going to be a big game for not only the division, you know, again, common opponent or, you know, whatever, you know, NC record is. Because again, if you tie with the Eagles and you have the same division record, they're going to go to conference record. And this is a game where you lose to Detroit and they beat Chicago and that ups their conference record or whoever they play, Green Bay, then, you know, you lose the division that way. So I'm just saying it's going to be a great game. I can't wait to see it. And that's about it.
Let's stick with the Cowboys here, man. They got a couple of interesting games on their schedule, man. All right, big in-state rivalry game with the against the Houston Texans as well. They'll be hosting the Houston Texans at some point this season, man. C.J. Stroud coming off the tremendous rookie
Prime time that
campaign.
Didn't put all their games on prime time.
All the Cowboys games. Can't prime time all the Cowboys games, damn it. But that could be another potential absolute.
Fine, 425.
I mean, I know they're in separate conferences, so it won't be any real. There's never going to be any real playoff implications when these two play. But I mean, Houston Texans now with C.J. Stroud at quarterback, man, it could become a legit in-state rivalry with the Dallas Cowboys the once every 4 years that they get to play. Or in this case, this is the extra game for the Cowboys this season with the 17th game. So
exactly. Well, guess what? If that 18 games happens, maybe they'll do that. Maybe instead of going with another conference loser, maybe they'll go with, hey, let's do a rivalry game, and they'll always play the Texans every year, just like the Giants should have their 18th game against the Jets every year, you know, and just have those kind of games every year where you can establish rivalries. I think the one thing that the NFL lacks is rivalries because, you know, their team they don't have that many teams, right? Yeah, you have rivalries like Cowboys and Giants and all that. But what I'm saying is, like, you have built-in rivalries against the Jets, Giants, the Cowboys, the Texans. You could definitely do St. Louis versus Kansas City. You know, you can do Detroit versus Green Bay, or you can do Detroit versus whoever you want. You know, Cleveland, if you want to do that, or Cincinnati, or some team like that where you can, you know, kind of manifest Tampa Bay versus, you know, Miami or Jacksonville, you know, like in-state rivalry right there, like kind of build something up. And then every year, boom, they may not have the best record, but hey, maybe you're fighting for the Snoopy Bowl trophy or, like, you know, the Lamar Hunt trophy or whatever. I know that's the AFC championship trophy, but, you know, make up whatever sponsorship you want trophy and win it. And I think it'll just add a little bit more fun to the season. You know, obviously it has betting odds, but if they're going to go to 18 games, that's what I suggest they do, is try to make it that every year these teams play, and you can build a rivalry. And then if you want, you can always make the last 2 games, if you have to, the interchangeable game. Like, you know, if they happen to play the NFC East, the AFC South that year, you can change the 18th game to something else, right? Because they're already playing each other that year. So I think it'll have great implications if you did that, you know. So be fun, NFL, be fun. And I wouldn't be surprised if they build an expansion team in the next couple of years.
And obviously, we know the Cowboys will be. We do know the one thing for sure in the Cowboys schedule, they're starting the season off on the road at Cleveland.
Whew.
That could that's a big one, big way to kick the season off, and it's a great tone setting game for the Cowboys potentially if they can go out there and get a W week one on the road against the Cleveland Browns, as we know what they bring to the table, especially defensively,
You know what's
and
going to
that'll
happen?
be a big time matchup for the Dallas
The Giants are
Cowboys.
going to be like first place, like the week 1 or week 2 or something like that, because the Cowboys and they split. And everyone's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Then we hit week 3 and beyond, and it's like we're looking at the Cowboys and Eagles, and we're going down the elevator. So, oh man, it's going to be it's going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy it as a football fan this season. Whether or not the Giants do well, I don't believe my max is 7 wins, regardless of I picked them for 5. I don't think they're winning more than 7. They just the competition is the people talk about strength of schedule. Last year, it came into play. It did, as well as injuries and depth. So I don't want to hear the bullshit about it's not going to come into play. It will.
I mean, there you have it, man. I mean, I wish we could have brought you a little more in depth with the Cowboys Commander schedule. Unfortunately, like I said, the leaks didn't seem to come out for those guys like the Giants and the Eagles did. But end of the day, we know who their opponents are, and we talked about a couple of the other games that stood out on their schedules for me, at least anyway.
We kind of
Gonna
were
be some
too
fun.
giant heavy here, but that's all right.
I mean, it is what we did. We took time with a little bit more with the Giants. We did cruise through the Eagles a lot faster. But at the end of the day, that's what we know. We're giant guys, and I know you might take some of the things I said, especially earlier, if anybody was here earlier. But like I said, I'm not here to give you the fluff, man. Like I said, if you want that, you're listening to the wrong, you're on the wrong channel,
Exactly.
listening to the wrong show, man. Look, I love the New York Giants. Nobody, I want to see this team succeed, but just based off of what I know from my football intelligence, come on, man. It is what it is. Right now, in the month of May, the New York Giants have a lot of work to do to keep up with the rest of the teams in their division.
In the
That's
conference.
a fact. In the conference as well, but that's a fact. And that's just what it is. I mean, whether you want to hear it or don't want to hear it, it's the truth. Okay? It's the
Truth
truth.
hurts.
And that's just being brutally honest, man. All these fairy tale records, double digit wins and all this craziness. I hope that happens, but I can't predict it to happen. Not right now.
I
It
also hope
just
to win the
can't.
lottery, Mac, but
Yeah, that just. I mean, sure, anything can happen. Football is seeing some weird things in the football, man. But if we're expecting some kind of turnaround, like Daniel Jones is still the quarterback. That's enough said. That's enough said.
and
You
on
know,
that
as
note,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you got some final words you want to say out of we can get ready to wrap things up,
listen,
man.
you said it best, man. You hope for the best, but the worst might be coming, right? So, reality is teams probably not winning more than 7 games. Not going to be too much better than they were last year. I don't think they did that much to get better. I think you lost McKinney, replaced him with Newman. Experience matters. So we'll see. Should be fun to watch.
Absolutely.
And we'll revisit this show, later on in the year and see, hey, on May 15th, let's say in December, and the Giants could be doing what they're doing, or maybe they're going to be just as bad. We'll be like, hey, we predicted this, or man, we were completely wrong in May. So
Definitely appreciate everybody tuning in who came through, hung in the chat, man. Yep, you guys have been great. I don't know exactly when me and Adam will be back. It'll probably be might not probably won't be till sometime in June. Get some of the off season stuff going a little more underway, OTAs and things of that sort.
we might do a
We got
trivia or
some
something
time
just
in
to,
June.
you know,
Come back with some updates and stuff. But
just some
it's
fun facts.
but it's we'll get back consistent every Wednesday pretty soon. Like I said, by the time we get to like July and stuff, we'll pretty much probably be hitting it every week by then again. So just hang in there with us. We'll be back in a few weeks or so. Hopefully, we'll see y'all again. And definitely want to appreciate y'all. Y'all make sure y'all stop by my channel, Adam's channel, Hardcore and Sports Network, and make sure y'all hit them subscribe buttons, hit them the thumbs up all the good stuff, all the things that help the channels grow. Definitely appreciate y'all support, man. And we'll be coming back at y'all with another edition soon, hopefully sooner than later, with another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Round-Up.
Have a good one.
I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment and let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, MacDaGiantsFan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at MacDaGiantsFan. That's MacDa Giants Fan.